Yes, Pokémon on the Nintendo Switch, the weirdest era of the franchise. Now, you might be wondering why I said that. Well, let's go down this ride together. Let's go down the entire timeline and just explore the game's excels. Talk about the good, the bad, the common opinion of the community, and my own opinion. So, let's jump down this rabbit hole together and see why this is such a strange era. Let's get started. Well, let's start here. March 3rd, 2017. The release of the Nintendo Switch after much hype. Well, the big franchise of Nintendo didn't sleep long to drop. Zelda dropping on release, but one of the best games on the Switch apparently. And also Mario dropping in October the same year, also making one of the best games on the console. But Pokemon remained silent, mainly because they dropped their last 3DS games, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, in November 2017. But not too long after, 6 months after, Pokemon announced their first drop on the Switch for the main line, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Yeah, these were strange. Coming out on November 16th of 2018, they were still part of the Gen 7 games. These games were interesting. The big gimmick here is that the catching is now like Pokemon Go, and there's a lot of stuff from Pokemon Go. For example, you can now transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Go to the main lines now, and it's another Kanto-based game. Do you see why people call this game a cash grab? Yeah. Besides that, not much changed besides not being able to battle wild Pokemon, but that leads to my biggest hatred for this game. The XP. Why? I've never played a Pokemon game where I get as little XP as this game. Have fun trying to get an actual XP method before the Chanseys in the post-game. Yes, the post-game. There is literally no good way to level up until you beat the game. The only decent way is to get a catch combo on a Pokemon. But do you know how fun that is? It isn't, unless you're shiny hunting. And do you think the community also liked these games? No, because this was just a crash grab for the Pokemon Go kids, but it's fine, I guess. Well, it was always odd for the beginning, so I wasn't expecting too much, but yeah, it's fine, I guess. It's passable, but maybe it'll fix up with the next generation. It has to come now, and there's no way they're gonna drop another Gen 7 game on the Switch. But nope, no foreshadowing. In February 19, with the Nintendo Direct, Pokemon Sword and Shield were revealed, and they eventually released on November 15th of 2019. These games were nice, it felt fresh, and I really liked it, but there were some huge controversies. For example, no national exist, which pissed off the entire community. Me personally, I didn't care that much, but I could definitely see why people would get mad at it. Also because I never usually got the National Dex, because I do not care about filling out the Pokedex at all. And there was another problem too, Dynamax. It's just not an interesting gimmick. I don't mind it all that much, but I understand a lot of people don't like it again. It's like a worse Mega Evolution. Sure, Gigantamax is cool, but that's fairly limited to some Pokemon, and you have to do raids for it. You can't just find a Snorlax walking around and it having the ability to Gigantamax. Besides that, this was a solid game, but the community despised this game. No matter what video you watch, this game was always catching strays, but I really don't understand why. Besides the two reasons that I just discussed, there really isn't much else to hate about this game, besides trees, but seriously, you're gonna complain about trees instead of actual important parts of the game? Maybe the plot, I used to not get to hate, but now I do. So, overall, these games are stupidly overhated, but they do have their problems. But, for me at least, this was a solid start for the release of Generation 8. But then, the COVID pandemic came around. How exciting. There was nothing that Nintendo dropped besides the planned release of Animal Crossing New Horizons, which was the pandemic game, and it's one of the 3 games I got to release. But the other 2 you'll see later. But this next one, in fact, is one I got on release. Anyways, in 2021, Pokemon's 25th anniversary came around, and they had a Poke Presents, of course, and there it was, the long-awaited Sinnoh remakes. The furret can finally stop walking up the escalator, but oh gosh, why does it look like this? Oh boy, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. These guys were screwed right off the bat. These are the first games to not be made by Game Freak, so the disaster was already bound to happen like I just said. But then it comes out like this? Sure, the art style grew on me a lot, but it's still a little strange. Why do the Switch era loves changing the art style so much? It's stupid! Okay, that's enough strange. Let's try to talk about these games. These were eventually released on November 19th of 2021, and was my one-day late birthday present. That was a fun day. But wow, these games were so strange. These remakes are practically copies of the original. There isn't much change at all. It's just the same fucking game. There isn't good to say at all. And why did they bring back breaking TMs? Why? Sword and Shield did that brilliantly by splitting TMs and TRs, and then this game does this? They also just chose to ignore every single improvement Platinum made. There's only 2 different species of fire types again. I'm stupidly sad this was my first time in Sinnoh, and I don't even think I need to explain what the community thinks, because they even hate it more than I do. These games are like Sword and Shield for me. I don't despise them that much, at least not as much as the community does, but they're still by no means good. I will die in a hill saying that Sword and Shield are good games. I can never say the same for these. Luckily, I like Pokémon enough to withstand this. After all, it isn't unplayable, but it isn't good. Overall, this was a disaster even before it came out, and these are my least favorite Pokémon games. But I don't think they're as devilish as everyone makes them out to be. Let's take a detour, and let's talk about all the spin-offs on the Switch. First up, Pokémon Tournament DX. This was the actual first Pokémon Switch game, and came out before Mario Odyssey even on September 2017. This is a fighting game that I didn't find too fun, but I can see how someone would enjoy this. It's a solid game, but it's not for me. Next up, Pokémon Quest, which came out in May 2018 on the Switch, but later released on mobile. This is an RPG of sorts. You can cook and beat the crap out of Pokemon. I've only played the mobile port for a bit. It's alright, I guess. Not much to say here. Next up, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. What a long name. Anyways, this was a neat little remake that came out in March 2020. I played a bit of this game, and it's quite fun, I guess. I want to beat it sometime, and so far this has been a great first game to introduce me to the franchise. Also because it gave me much first try after the quiz. But I did hear that this is just the exact same game as the original, so this could be getting the Brilliant Diamond treatment. Next up, Pokemon Cafe Remix. What the hell is this? It's just another mobile game, but now it's a puzzle game that came out in June 2020. I've never played this, nor do I want to. At least with Quest, I wasn't interested in it, enough to get it. But this does not look fun at all, and it's just another mobile game they just shoved on Switch for money. Next up, new Pokemon Snap, which is just another remake of an old spin-off. This came out in May 2021. Again, another one that I haven't played, but this actually looks good. It's about taking pictures, I think. I don't know. I didn't do any research for this one. But I'm not too interested in this, but it does look really nice, and I'd probably like this game if I was interested, but maybe if I did some research, I'd know more. Finally, Pokemon Unite. This was a nice little MOBA game that came out in July 2021. I used to play this game a lot, and this is by far my most played Pokemon spin-off. It was quite fun, even when it gave me extreme rage moments, but I enjoyed it a lot. Now I don't care for it, but I used to, so I can't talk too bad about it. I haven't played this in a couple years, so who knows what this game's like now, but I do remember it being quite pay to win, because, well, it's a mobile game. It was planned to be a mobile game, so, yeah. This was actually a solid spin-off compared to the other 2 mobile games, and I actually enjoyed it for a bit. So, with that, that's the end for the spin-offs. Back to the mainline games. But there was another mainline game, revealed at the same Poke Presents at Brilliant Diamond, that looked really good and interesting. Pokemon Legends Arceus. It was going to come out a couple months later in January 2022, but these actually had high expectations from Direct, and it definitely delivered. This was more of an open-world catch-em Pokemon game, and wow, this game is amazing. I haven't even beaten it yet, but besides that 10-year intro, there's nothing to complain about. The visuals, the plot, and all the basics were so good. Sure, the battle system is difficult, and this whole game is stupid difficult for no reason, but actually, I'm lying. There wasn't a reason, because the community has been begging for the games to be harder for years. yeah, they finally made a hard game, and I guess that's fine. I wasn't asking for it, but the community was, so good job, Game Freak, for listening to the community. I was very impressed by this so far, and so was the community. It seems like things were finally turning around for the franchise on the Switch. This game was just so amazing, there's no way they could fuck it up, right? Around a month after the stellar release of Arceus on February 27th of 2022, Pokémon revealed that their next ambitious project, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, the 9th generation, has arrived, and most likely the last one on the Switch. This had high expectations. I was definitely not fond of the art style at first, but I definitely can say that this grew on me. And it was actually quite fun when I played them on release, November 18th, 2022. My birthday! The only redeeming part about my birthday is that this is when Pokemon usually drops their games. But it didn't deliver. This game was unfinished and buggy. Second ever Pokeball I threw. When the Pokemon was caught, the ball was clipping through the void. Oh gosh. As you can tell, there were a shit ton of issues on release, and the general just seemed rushed. You can see all these textures that just don't look that good. But if you actually can look past these issues, this game is actually pretty good. This game actually has my favorite plot in the entire franchise from the ones I've played, because of how it just wasn't scared to drop a death in there, and because it was good in general. If there's one thing I like, that is that Game Freak isn't holding back anymore. Pokemon isn't so as PG as it once was. Like I just said, this game has Arven's dog nearly dying, and of course the death that I won't spoil because the plot's good. And Arceus also has reports of people getting mauled by Pokemon. And the gimmick of terrestrialization was also solid. Sure, it looked stupid, but I think it's actually a cool gimmick. But the community was not letting it back with this one. They got an unfinished game, and they were pissed, and understandably so. But it was another bad drop for the Pokemon Company. I like these games, but this was definitely disappointing to see Game Freak just drop whatever the fuck this was on release. I was definitely hoping for more. But there's one controversy I've glossed over, the DLCs, and Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. This is a mixed bag in the community, but I'm a hater. I don't think you should have to pay for additional content. You should already be getting what you paid for. I thought the base game of Sword and Shield was fine, because the post game was okay, I guess. But this is just Scarlet and Violet's post game. Go fight the gym leaders again, and here's a stupid tournament you'll never play. Yippee! Why? Sure, there's more content than what I just mentioned, but I want a good general post game and not have to pay for additional stuff. I should have really gotten that. If there's one good thing I can say about BDSP, is that they actually have somewhat of a post game with the Survival Area Island and Ramirez Park, even if it is copied over from the originals. Overall, this is a change I absolutely despise, and I think it actually deserved its own section, so here we are. But now, that's the end of the timeline. Well, I mean, with the timeline complete now, there's still one question. Why did I say the Switch era was the weirdest era so far? Well, I think what I just said proves it. You have some random spin-off mobile games, some pretty good mainline games, and then there's BDSP, one of the worst games in the franchise, and Legend Arceus, one of the best. This era is so strange because of how much the quality varies. Even if the previous title was good, like Arceus, they can still somehow drop something like Pokemon Violet next. Or they can even make a worse title better with BDSP and Arceus. It's stupidly weird. I think the other eras explain themselves pretty well. The Game Boy and DS both have really good Game Line games. I don't know much about the spin-offs. And the 3DS is a mixed bag, but at least with the mainline games, it's either good or bad or meh. In the Switch era, there's like so many different ways to describe them besides those three ratings. But do I hate this era? No, I think it's a bit overhated. Some people just trash on games because of one or multiple big issues, but they don't really look past them. People don't really get to see how good the game is beyond those couple of issues, unless the issues are just make the game unplayable, but the only exception in that in this era is Pokemon Violet on release. And this is also because I like Pokemon. The reality is, even if they make a DLC, unfinished games, and questionable decisions, I think I will always love this franchise. despite the current era being all over the place, I'm still enjoying it, and there's so much more to come, even with Legend ZA, and maybe even another game after that, but that's how I want to end this. This game era is weird, but it's not that bad. That's the end. Thanks for watching. Peace.